Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and I am already playing the Monster Hunter Rise demo. And now I know, yes, if you know, it's technically out at the time that you're seeing this, but obviously I've had to record this in the past. So, privilege. There's loads of new stuff to delve into, far more than I can do in a single video, and to be honest, I think it's better if you experience it firsthand. But every single time there is a new Monster Hunter game that comes out, something that I see time and time again is so many people commenting, perfectly reasonably, just saying, I never got into the Monster Hunter series, or, oh, I tried Monster Hunter 3, but just couldn't get into it. And that's fair, but it was never clear to me exactly what the reasons were, and obviously no one's going to have, you know, it's not going to be one reason for everyone, that's outlandish, but there's got to be some sort of common thread. So what I did is I asked you lovely people over on the community tab, and my colleagues as well, because some of them have never played a Monster Hunter game, what it was that meant that they didn't give it a fair old kick up the backside. And I was wondering whether I could alleviate any of those worries, and that's what I hope to do. I got me a wire bug. Pow! People say the game is too slow, and I think what they see is they see a lot of promotional stuff, where you got people using, you know, things like the hammer and the hunting horn and even the lances, and even, you know, the bow, you could argue, is... It's not a slow weapon, but it may appear slow by modern standards, and I think that is fair. It's not frenetic, but having said that, there are faster options, absolutely, and the biggest one of all is the dual blades. So I'm going to show you what it's like to use these puppies. I'm not experienced with them. I'm going to race on over now, and what am I doing? I'm doing the same mission I was doing before, but with a better thing. Don't have a lot of health in this demo, I must admit, which I'm not used to, but thankfully this is a nice, simple, beginner-level mission, which I've completed several times already, so hopefully I won't make a fool of myself as I try and talk and play the game at the same time. Arguably, this is another thing already, you know, you can move around the world far faster by riding on the back of the canine. What's it, Palamute? Palamule? Dog, the big doggo. That is just so much faster. So let's have a go at this geezer here. This is... Why have I forgotten his name? It's one of these. It's one of the most common and most used enemies in the game. And I'm going to show you just how fast an inexperienced player... Whoa, that was bad. Oh, get off me. I could have used Wirefall then, but I'm still not used to using that. And I'm getting absolutely plastered. Let's have a potion. Easy peasy. This is definitely not the easiest kind of wyvern that you'll take on. If it's even classified as a wyvern, I'm never sure. It's a beast wyvern, I think. And using the dual blades especially is, I imagine, it's got to be one of the fastest, if not the fastest. And by dodging out the way and... Come on. Timing your attacks properly. There we go! Oh, he's been hit stunned. Good stuff. And we're on his back! I would argue that this doesn't necessarily play into the fast gameplay angle, but I've got to show it to you, haven't I? Amazing! So come on, let's launch this monster again. Launch him again. Oh no! But that's okay. He's down on the ground. Let's get some serious hits in. Enter demon mode. Really use up that stamina and just rip through him with as many attacks as I can possibly get, and he is not having a good time with it either. Get out of the way! Oh, the little sod. That was basically my fault. But I'm still going to blame him. Bow! Ah, I missed him. Poorly timed on my part, to be honest. I did see somebody complaining that you have to press a different button to get your weapon out. You don't, you just press the attack button, you start attacking immediately. Certain weapons, it does take a little bit longer, and I really should have seen that coming. So I don't think anyone could really argue that this is... oh yeah, we're getting some... Ah! You little toe rag. This great Izuchi hopped on in, hoping for a bit of the action. and it's going to get some, but not immediately because I need to... since you insist. And this all actually leads me quite nicely into another argument that I've seen, or another concern, and this has come from this... I would argue this is probably the second most common one I've seen. It came from one of my colleagues as well, and it's this. Now, I do think this is a fair argument, certainly if you see a lot of, I think a lot of the promotional material, and certainly if you look up any guides or anything, or any gameplay of anyone who's really seasoned in Monster Hunter, yeah, it's gonna look complicated. It just flat out is, because it is a very deep game. There is a lot that you can learn, a lot that you can choose between. One of the biggest things being the number of bloomin' weapons. And as you can see here, the number of weapons is fairly substantial. What is that? That's 14! And a mistake I made when I first started playing Monster Hunter was I was looking through and going, oh, which one do I like the look of the best, you know, sort of, and I was looking at like the bow guns and I think the hunting horn and things like that. Brilliant weapons, they're all brilliant, but realistically, and I know we've already seen this, but I really would recommend you start off with the dual blades, because they really are, I think, the simplest weapons in the game. Certainly nothing like the insect glaive. That's a complex beastie. Sword and shield is also fairly good as a sort of a starting thing, but then you got the whole sort of defense thing, and that's something that is, whilst it's absolutely not unique to the sword and shield, it is mainly sort of the sword and shield's bread and butter. So I would really recommend just going for the dual blades. It's the fastest, it's the easiest to learn, and to prove just how easy it is to use them. Admittedly, you can play them better than I play them, absolutely. There are far more complex things you can do, but to get into the game and to learn the basics just like you would with any other game, I think the dual blades are the simplest to pick up on. So I'm just gonna... that's the wrong button, Alex. I'm just gonna run it. I'm still getting used to the Palamute. Is it Palamute or Palamule? I'm gonna get really annoyed at myself. So I'm gonna look out for the Great Izuchi. I believe it's over this way. I'm pretty sure it's that one. I'm not going to get that wire bug just yet. And I'm going to limit myself to using the 2 attack buttons, which is X and A. And, you know, I'll let myself use items if I need it. And roll. That's it. Just the face buttons and the control stick. That's all I'm going to use. And I'm going to show you what you can do with just those face buttons, and realistically it's mostly going to be X and A. And if you think, oh well, you're using them in some crazy combination, I'm really not. I have no idea what the combos are for the dual blade. I just kind of mash them, and I still seem to do okay. Here's the boy. Right, so I'm going to get off the Palamute. What are you called? And it's X to open up the attacks, and continuing just to press X, which is the quick attack, and then A to do other attacks. Just whack through it. And I'm dodging, because you really do need to dodge in this game, but... Whoa, that was quick! That was seriously quick. I've already managed to get a breakage by the looks of it, or maybe a wyvern tear? I don't know. That shiny sparkly thing on the ground, I'm still just pressing X and A, in whatever order I feel like. X and A, and just using the control stick to guide my attacks. And now I'm dodging out the way. Roll. 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 And that's the big thing, is learning the enemy attacks. More so than having like the best armor or anything like that, although believe me, the armor and the weapons are blinking useful as well, to say the least. Come on then. Keeping it nice and simple, not even using any of the nice wire bug techniques. Really basic stuff. Staying out of the way. Well, hey, whoa there, sunshine. Careful, he angry. He very angry right now. Whoa. And you can see by the numbers that are coming up. The color, and obviously the number themselves, indicates how much damage I'm doing, which allows you to see which areas are more vulnerable than others. So for example, you can see the midsection here, not very vulnerable. Oh no, these two are going to fight it out now. And I'm still just going to use still going to use just the standard old attacks. I'm not going to mount any wyvern if I can avoid it, to keep things nice and simple, and to really show, because the early missions you likely will only be coming across a single monster at a time. I don't know that because I don't have the final game. Hee. Take that, you fool. Now let's get some nice focused attacks. So what's interesting is there's actually another feature of the dual blades that I haven't even started using, which you may have seen when I was using it previously. I've not even touched on it, and that's, you know, if you want to do some serious damage, yeah, you know, you're probably going to want to use that, but you don't need to, certainly to begin with, whilst you're learning. And I'll show you very briefly, it's that, pressing ZR, and now I'm run really fast, but my stamina goes down, and I do the Naruto run. Is that how it's pronounced? I've never seen it. So now this geezer's going to continue to attack me, and I'm just going to continue doing the same thing. That demon mode, which was when I was all glowing and red, that's no longer active. I'm not going to use it, and I reckon I could still quite easily take this geezer down, because this is probably, I don't know for certain, but probably going to be one of the easiest wyverns in the game, just the standard, what are classified as bird wyverns. I've heard some people pronounce it as wyvern, which is fine. That's another pronunciation. It's not the pronunciation I use. And I should know because there's a theatre near me called the Wyvern Theatre, which I'm fairly certain does not have a wyvern as its logo. I think it's a worm, but that's, you know, dragon classifications, that's a story for another time. Still just using X and A and producing all these crazy movements that look far more complex than they actually are. I'm going to quickly use a potion, and all items and everything. Oh, could have used that as well. All items, you just hold L and you get access to all your items like Mega Potion. And you can just use the right stick as well for shortcuts. That is something that I very much appreciate and something that would have been really handy in the earlier games, to say the least. Oh, not even just getting tired. Didn't even use demon mode. Didn't ride the wyvern. Didn't use a wire bug. Just X and A and dodging out the way. And occasionally chugging a potion. The game is not that complex on the surface. You can get into the game with a very simple way to play. I'm going to carve this fiend whilst I talk, even though it makes absolutely no bearing on the game because this is only the demo. It's not as complex as I think a lot of people make it out to be. It has a very high skill ceiling, but the entry level is surprisingly low. I still wouldn't say it's the, you know, it's not the easiest game in the world. Absolutely not. But if you know your sort of your action hack and slash type things, you'd be surprised at just how easily you'll pick this up. Then you can move on to other weapons, have a look through the hunter's notes and everything, which I probably won't be able to show you in time. Weapon controls. Yeah, they're all there. They tell you all the moves. Easy peasy. And then you leave the mission. Because quest completed. Nice. Literally can't help you there. I've got 4 things to choose from. 2 of which are tutorials, 2 of which are hunts. I have no idea what the story's like. That's a bit of a trickier one to understand. Monster Hunter is a game that allows you to play for basically as long as you like. And you can play it online with friends, you can play it, you know, solo as I'm doing now. That's primarily because the servers aren't online at the time of recording. But it's as much as I would say that you absolutely get the most out of the game by really investing a long time, one could argue the same about a lot of games. Breath of the Wild, realistically, in order to get the best and the most out of it, you need to invest a good 100 hours plus. You can still absolutely enjoy Breath of the Wild without putting 100 hours into the game. And it's the same with Monster Hunter. It's the same with all the Monster Hunters. And I think it's very disappointing that some people are put off by an investment idea. Because I just don't think it's as clear-cut as that. You will absolutely get more out of the game if you put loads of time into it. As I say, the same with almost any other game. It's a big game. It is a meaty game. I was going to have a bit there of me cooking some meat over a spit, but I can't find any raw meat. But that doesn't mean that you can't dip in and out of it if you want. Absolutely not. It's not like you're not going to enjoy the game unless you put X amount of hours in. I've heard some people make that argument about certain games. Nothing immediately springs to mind, but definitely certain, you know, sort of like big online MMOs and things like that. I'm certain some people have said that you have to put in, you know, as much, you know, you have to put in 200 hours for the game to properly you know, to properly enjoy the game. Not the case with Monster Hunter. You pick up a big weapon, you whack an enemy as many times as you can, and I love what they've done with the hunting horn. I absolutely adore it. Look at that! Even the hunting horn's not slow anymore. I actually got Monster Hunter World for my birthday, which was only, you know, sort of late last year. I've been meaning to get it for a long time, but it's just another game to get, you know, and I barely have enough time to play any games on the Switch, let alone, well, I mean, in my free time, obviously, let alone games on a different system. But my brother got it for me, I played it, and it's absolutely wonderful. I hadn't played a Monster Hunter game, I think, in over a year. Certainly not properly. Properly, it would have been, oh, goodness, I don't even know, 18 months, maybe even 2 years. And yet, I got into it, and it took me a moment to just get my bearings and all that, absolutely. But then I did, and it was like riding a bike. I was back in. It was like I hadn't stopped playing Monster Hunter. It was wonderful. You don't need to sit down and dedicate a week of your life to playing the game. You just don't. And also, seriously, if you get the chance, play it with friends. It is so much better with friends. It's great by itself, but believe me when I say that I really want a PS Plus account just so I can play Monster Hunter with John. Not that John. John. Look at me go! I'm not even using the wire bug technique. What is the wire bug technique with this? Ooh. Oh, that's beefy. Oh, that's beefy. Oh, that's beefy. I haven't said anything for some time. I'm just enjoying playing the game. I'm certain there was another thing that someone said. Oh yeah, I've seen people saying that there are too many tutorials. And some people saying that they had no idea what to do. I'm guessing it's people coming from different games, you know, certainly. Certain demos in the past for Monster Hunter games have not been the clearest. It's absolutely true, and I think I've maybe a little bit more tailored towards returning players rather than new players. And that's something that I'm fairly certain Capcom have been trying to avoid as much as possible recently, and the games are trying to be more and more accessible, and I think that's a great thing. Monster Hunter World was a big step in that direction. And as you probably saw earlier, there are 2 tutorials right here. There's a basic training quest and a wyvern riding training quest, and they are very different to say the least. The basic training quest, it's very basic. It just takes you through the basics, and it teaches you how to use the wire bug as well, so that's not something that you have to work out by yourself. It does take you through, but at the same time, at least in the demo, it doesn't seem to be too hand-holdy, which was a big thing for me with World, actually. It felt quite hand-holdy, but you get... It's trying to find that balance, isn't it? It's trying to find that balance. It's a deep game. You're going to have tutorials and explanations and things like that. But at the same time, you don't want to, you know, drag people along and namby-pamby through them, and people feel like they've got to read big walls of text. I get that. I absolutely do. I do think that they've been getting a lot better with that recently, and if maybe you played, like, I think 3 Ultimate was a particularly egregious example of not knowing what the bloomin' heck to do, I would say give this demo a go. I mean, you know, what have you got to lose? It's a free bloomin' demo. Download it, give it a go, do the training stuff if you know, you're not sure what to do, absolutely. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Absolutely, do not jump to the intermediate one if you think you did really well in the tutorials, because... no. Start off with the beginner quest, slay the great Izuchi, or Izuchi, I don't know how it's pronounced. You've got other monsters to take on as well if you want to have a bit of a change of pace. You get 30 tries in the demo. I don't know why there's that limitation, and I'm tempted to see if you can get around it. Hey! I've got 30 tries again. I just loaded another account. I really highly recommend you download the demo and give it a go. If you're brand new to the series, then do the training missions, absolutely, including the wyvern riding one. You know, don't try and skip out on that because it's a fairly fun part of the game. Pick the dual blades and have fun with it. You'll pick it up. You'll pick it up faster than you think, I think. and I think you're going to have an absolute blast with it. And then if you want to maybe, you know, within the demo you want to get a little bit more advanced, but you can't quite work out how the bow works and things like critical distance, because yeah, that's when things start getting really deep, then I highly recommend you look up some tutorial videos over on YouTube. They won't, you know, there won't be anything for Rise in particular, but a lot of it will carry over from other Monster Hunter games to this one. So I highly recommend Arekkz Gaming. He's a good lad. I'll even put a link to his channel in the description. But yeah, that's the takeaway. You know, it's maybe not a game that's going to be for everyone, and you may play it and you may sort of think, nah, it's not really my thing, and that's fine, but for goodness sake, at least try it. Give it a good go. Give it a real sort of wrangle. Try and get into the Monster Hunter spirit. You might surprise yourself and have a new bloomin' favourite franchise on your hands. And I would be remiss if I didn't encourage you to find a new favourite franchise to have on your hands now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you grab that subscribe button with a wire bug and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.